If you're new to Space Engineers or you've been a long time player, you'll know that there is a lot of Space Engineers DLCs, and because of this, if you're thinking about picking one up, you really need to do your research because not all DLCs in Space Engineers are created equally. So in today's video, I'll be ranking Space Engineers DLCs, scrutinising every single one of them from worst to best, having a look at the functionality of each pack and which ones I find myself personally using the content from. On top of this, I'm hopefully going to lead you to a decision on which ones are worth it and which ones you should consider picking up. So let's start with the first DLC released for Space Engineers, and this was the Decorative Pack. And I have to say the Decorative Pack is probably my favourite of all the DLCs. I find myself using all of the blocks from this pack constantly in base building and other various different construction projects, and it brings interiors of a ship alive. So this has everything from armories, armory lockers, you've got beds, console blocks, couches, desks, various different desk versions with lots of corners so you can sit in there and roleplay your Starship Command. You've also got an industrial cockpit that increases visibility and probably adds the most functionality to this DLC. Everything else is just more of a visual perspective, but that industrial cockpit really brings them rovers alive. You've obviously got kitchens, additional lockers in the planters, and a selection of toilets, because we all know space without toilets is not great at all. But this will really allow you to bring your ship interior alive, and that industrial cockpit will allow additional functionality for many of your rovers and ships. Now the next DLC we're looking at is the Style Pack. In here we get the addition of 4 armor types. So we've got a carbon fiber, a digital camouflage, a wood aesthetic sort of skin, and a mossy armor effect as well. We obviously get the proper, the chef, and retro character skins, and on top of this we get 6 emotes for the character. Now for value, I really don't think you get too much in this pack, but I do find myself using these armor skins quite a lot to create different scenes and give off different vibes to the blocks, so that's something you would have to consider. So really not a lot in this pack. Now the next pack we're taking a look at is the Economy Deluxe. This pack once again contains some more suits, so we've got a miner suit, a soldier suit, a glamour armor skin for your blocks, a disco armor skin. Now with these 2 skins I don't find myself using these at all. They're just not very useful and they kind of make the blocks look quite awful. But if you like glamour or you like disco, then perhaps that is there for you. It's also got the silver armor skin that I don't use too much at all either. On top of this, you've got different safe zone skins, and I don't find myself using the safe zone generator at all. There's lots of mods that do safe zones a lot better, so all 14 of them skins for the safe zone aren't really required in my opinion. Next up, you do get faction icons, so you get a better selection of faction icons for you to choose from, but once again it's really not a big improvement. Now the 2 blocks that a lot of people say or try to justify this pack with are the vending machine and the ATM. So this allows you to build a vending machine and sell your goods pretty much, and the same with the ATM, it allows you to withdraw and deposit space credits. But for these 2 blocks I still don't believe that this pack is quite worth it. So now we've arrived at Decorative Block Pack 2. Now this is one that is quite good, but I just wish it had a bit more in it. So in this pack you get yourself a lovely dispenser, a jukebox, you get various lab equipment, showers, and all this stuff I find myself using to fill out the interiors of the ship. On top of that you've got windows and walls, you've got medical stations, transparent LCDs that come in handy in plenty of build situations, you've got the grated catwalks that can be used for prison cells, catwalks, all sorts of different things, and on top of that you've got railings, rotating lights, and freight. So this is another one of them packs that I actually do recommend, and you'll find yourself using a lot of these blocks to bring your creations to life. Now next up we have the Frostbite DLC, and this DLC is quite a good one, but I'm sad to say that there really isn't that much in it, but all the blocks you do get are very good. So you get the antenna dish, that is a great but very useless block in a lot of situations. You get the dead engineers, that are great for building scenarios. You get the gates and the offset door. Now the gates and the offset door might award this DLC enough reason to get this. Having them larger gates and them offset doors are really quite useful, and the door itself looks really damn cool. On top of this you get a frozen armor skin that could be useful in some scenarios, and then you get various different emotes that are pretty useless. You get two emotes, a cold emote and a wrist checking emote. So this is one of them packs that I had to get it because I wanted the doors, but apart from that you really don't get too much else in it. Now the next DLC I do recommend. This is the Sparks of the Future DLC. It starts off by coming with these lovely sci-fi LCDs that do look spectacular. You've got these neon tubes that allow you to create some really cool ambience within your base, and you've also got two upgrades to the thrusters. You've got the sci-fi ion thrusters that just look great with all this cabling and wiring. You've also got the sci-fi atmospheric thruster, and you've got interior walls. On top of that you get a lot more sort of aesthetic stuff. So you've got bar counters, control panels, various different options for buttons that I think is great. You also get a sci-fi sliding door, and if there's something you know about me, I like doors in Space Engineers. You get a sci-fi armor skin that adds a lot of detail into the armored panel blocks, and you also get a neon armored skin. You get 8 character emotes as well on top of this. So this is one I would recommend picking up. There's a lot of good things in this pack, lots of little blocks that really add to the ambience of a station, and also add to the functionality in terms of button panels and doors. So let's jump into the Wasteland Pack, and the Wasteland Pack is directed at rover lovers. If you love building rovers, this is probably one you don't want to miss out on. On top of this, it comes with some really cool off-road tyres, but me personally, I like the original tyres. I think they look a lot better than these airless ones in the off-road pack. You get the buggy cockpit that can work with a lot of designs, especially them forklift sort of trucks. You've got exhaust pipes that come in amazingly to detail and create ambience in areas with smoke, leaking reactors, or other cool effects that you can emit from them. You've got the viewport blocks that are great once again. These are great for spaceships as well. You've got a new armor skin, the scavenger character skin that's one of the most popular in Space Engineers, I believe. You've got the barred windows for the small rovers, and you've got offset lights and offset spotlights on top of storage shelves. On top of this, you also get 2 emojis. So you get a few things in this pack, but it's really all focused around rover building, apart from the 3 blocks that I use. So what I take away from this is the storage shelf, the windows, the viewport windows, and the exhaust pipe are great. Everything else in there I could do without, and I don't find myself using as much. Now the next DLC is Warfare 1. And the premium content in this pack is a little bit of a letdown. So you get the fire cover block. The fire cover block, you'd expect it to be able to protect you from incoming fire. Well, it only takes 20 MR50 rounds, so it's really not that useful, but it can be used as a good alternative for a railing, but I don't find myself using it that much either. We've got the half window block. I don't find myself using too much. The weapon rack, on the other hand, very useful and looks great within the small ship. More passage blocks, all depends on if you like to build narrow and tight corridors in your ship, so it does come in handy from time to time. The embrasure block, I don't find myself using too much, but it could be used in some defensive situations, and you also get 2 emotes as well. You get the got hit and finger guns. On top of this, you get the assault skin. So this is one of them packs where you really don't get much at all, but you get 1 or 2 good things once again. So it leads you to like, oh, I'd really like the weapon rack block sort of thing. So it leaves you in that situation where I'll buy that DLC, but really I'm only kind of buying it for 1 block. So is it even worth it? Now next up we have the Heavy Industry Pack, and I think this one is worth it. It doesn't come with a ton of blocks, but the blocks it does come with are very useful. First off, you get 2 versions of a large magnetic plate, and these large magnetic plates are great for grabbing onto things and using them for landing gears and whatnot. You also get the beam blocks, and the beam blocks are beautiful. These allow you to add some really required structural integrity to different parts of your ship and station. You would get the industrial conveyor pipe, so an actual pipe rather than the more ugly looking square conveyor. That's great. You get the conveyor pipe cap as well, and you also get cylindrical columns to add the detail to your ship. You get a vertical button, a large hydrogen tank that looks beautiful, this sort of cylindrical hydrogen tank. You get a large cargo container that I'm not too fussed about. It doesn't really look too much better than the original cargo container. And then you get an industrial refinery. What's cool about the industrial refinery and the industrial assembler is it comes connected up with the catwalk segment, so you can walk look into the actual block itself, and it feels like it has more interaction over the original refinery. And finally, you've got the industrial hydrogen thrusters. And the industrial hydrogen thrusters are great because they just look so detailed and so piped. It's like a proper NASA looking thruster. And finally, who doesn't want a hazard pattern armored skin? So I would definitely recommend this pack. There's a lot of cool things in this industrial DLC. Now next up we have the Warfare 2 Broadside DLC pack, and I have to say this one is worth it. It comes with a lot of good stuff. First off, we have a new flavour of Iron Thruster, so this one fits into a lot of ship designs and I find myself using this one a lot. Now in the Warfare Reactor department, the large ship reactor is actually really quite nice. It's got a little catwalk and access way around it that allows you to fit it into both stations and ships. The smaller version though really isn't my cup of tea, but I know a lot of people do like it. Moving on from that, we've got the Warfare hangar door variants that are just beautiful. These are a step above the hangar doors that come in vanilla, especially the windowed variants that allow you to see in and out of the hangar and get a bit of daylight. We've obviously got reskins of the rocket launcher and Gatling gun. We've got a searchlight. Now this searchlight can actually track and lock onto enemy targets, so this actually does have quite a bit of functionality in with it as well. Super cool little feature. You've got the bridge windows that allow you to build these nice slope bridge window glasses and get your cockpits really nice and snug up to them. Definitely recommend. And you've got the passenger benches, and these make a great sort of addition to any sort of troop transport ship that you've got. You've got a light panel that's a nice big square, provides a lot of light and makes a real nice modern interior. I find myself using them a lot. And then we have the helm as well. So the helm is one of them blocks that I used countlessly in tons of designs. It's got great visuals, great sort of clearance of field of view around it, a really nice functional block. You've got the Warfare battery that's really not too much of an upgrade, pretty similar to the original. You've got the heat vents that are really quite fun to use. I really need to incorporate them into more of my designs. You've got the sliding sort of submarine hatch, that's super cool, and you get a woodland camo, a shark mouth helmet, and you get a rock paper scissors emote as well as a salute. So this pack is definitely worth picking up. There's a lot of blocks in it that you'll definitely end up using. Now next up we have the Automatons Pack, and this is a pack that I don't quite recommend. There is some good blocks in it, but I just don't think there's enough good blocks to completely say yes, you should definitely pick this one up. So you've got the nice motorcycle compact saddle cockpit that's only available for small grids. You've got the emotions controller that's really not that useful. One of the funnest parts of this pack is the warning signs. These are super useful, maybe even worth buying the pack for the warning signs. You've got the angled interior walls that are okay, but some of them are just a little bit awkwardly shaped. You've got the inset lights, great in the small ship variant. In the larger ones, it can be used in some interiors. You've got the pipework blocks just to add some more detail to them interiors, but more importantly you've got the access panels, and the access panels do have some functionality. You can cover hatches and you can put control panels to access behind these. On top of this you've got the air vent, you've got the automated programming blocks. So this is just a different style of the programming block. You've got the automation timer, different reskin, automated center, a reskin of the center, top mounted camera. Now this block is quite useful since it fits in this angle. Unlike the irregular camera, you can fit it in a lot more positions. You can also shoot over the top of it with some weapons. And finally, you get a robot helmet skin and a plastic armor. So this is one of them where it's got the top mounted camera that's extremely useful. You've got the various different access panels that are fun, and you've got the warning signs, but everything else there isn't super useful, so it's one you'd have to decide on yourself. But for me, I could live without this. Now next up we have Decorative Pack 3, and this is another one that you would want if you want to add more and more detail to your designs, and I find myself using a lot of the things from this pack. First up, we've got the war-worn armor skin that gives that war-worn bullet hole effect. You've got the cab cockpit, great for trucks. You've got the twin-bladed turbine, the favourite turbine that is out there. You've got the colourable solar panels. These are alright, they're just the normal solar panel but colourable, but they do have them in different shapes as well. So you've got that triangular shape that allow it to fit into more places. The holographic LCD, this is great. Your character can walk through it, so you can drop a warning sign in front of different access areas, and you've got 3 versions of different LCDs. So you've got an inset one, you've got cornered ones, and you've got rounded and curved ones as well. You've obviously got a rounded beacon, so a beacon that adds a bit more detail, so just another skin really. But here's where it gets exciting. So we've got different internal blocks. So we've got an inset couch, but it's not just an inset couch because it's got different sorts of vivariums around the sides, so you can flip this block around and use it in multiple ways. The same with the inset bed, the inset button panels with different monitors, the entertainment corner, the inset bookshelf, and even the aquarium. They've obviously got an inset kitchen, an inset cryo room, a cornered medbay room. So this DLC, you can see it's one that you'd want to pick up. There's a lot to it. You've got half beds, you've got scaffolding sets in this pack, you've got crates and barrels that open up and some barrels explode. So with this pack, I'd highly recommend this one. There's a lot of great content in this. It's not one you want to miss out on. Now the final DLC is the Anniversary Pack, and this Anniversary Pack comes with just 3 skins. You've got a Tuxedo skin, a Ghost skin, and a Veteran skin, and that is it. So that brings us towards the end here, and if you feel that this video has helped you, talk you through the different DLCs, see which ones have value, please hit that like button, because it would really help with the YouTube algorithm. But apart from that, whichever reason you're buying the DLCs just for the items in them, remember there is a whole workshop with far better components, in my opinions, from mods than these DLCs, so don't feel that you're missing out. If you can't afford the $60 and pick up every DLC, or you pick up 1 or 2, it doesn't matter. There is mods out there for Space Engineers available free on the workshop that can do most of these features, if not the same or even better.